Hi, everybody. J. Julio Vela here for the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Reasonable doubt. Hello, 2020. We have not been here for a while. I know we've been absent for about a month and a half. Christmas, trials, CJC, busting walls down at the FLC, trials, NRG, Bad Bunny, and the rest. To my fellow defense attorneys out there, hello! And two, there he is, the co-host of the show, Justin Harris.
Hey man, what's up? I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Look, the real question is can you feel me?
Oh, I can always feel you, baby.
Can you feel me? You know, there was a great lawyer. It must have been.
You're wearing a scarf?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You don't got one of
Very
these?
cosmopolitan of you.
You have to keep you got to keep the neck warm, bro.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's the real
Your neck
question.
warmer?
Here's the real question. Have you ever cross-examined a witness in a scarf?
No, I can't say I have.
Yeah, that separates.
Have you?
At least three.
Once.
Well, at least 3 trials that we've had this year. But yeah, I mean, I cross-examined all of them in a scarf.
The 3 trials you've had this year, it's like the 3rd week of the year.
Well, and I go like this. Oh yeah, sir.
Pull it back and forth?
Objection, Your Honor. Oh, the jury eats it up. Yeah, no. No, I've lost all 3. I've lost all 3 trials. I've lost all 3.
So do you have like a lucky scarf?
Well, I have a white one, a blue one, a maroon one, a green one, like a taupe one.
I don't even know if I know what color that is, but
you look it up, man. It's somewhere in between,
that's cool.
Like a gray and a rust.
Between gray and rust. Okay. All right. So how many trials have you had
this year?
You have the record, right?
No,
yeah, since COVID.
No.
COVID trials.
No. Tyler Flood has more trials than I do. COVID trials.
COVID trials? Really? Mm-hmm. How many do you have in 2022?
3.
Man.
3.
Killing it.
No,
yeah, you were taking off all the things that were going on. You didn't say one thing about COVID. We had kind of like a semi-shutdown again after Omicron.
Well.
They didn't actually cancel jury service in Harris County, did they? No, they did in some outlying counties.
No. Jury service was definitely not canceled during the Omicron, COVID. Should it have been? What do you think?
I mean, I haven't heard anything about disasters happening. If they're going to keep doing what they've been doing, as much of a disaster as I think that has been, I'm not going to sit here and say, no, they should have closed it when it seems like it was maybe okay. I don't know. Did you get COVID from any of those trials?
Not that I'm aware of. No. I mean, no. I mean, I've been boosted and, extra juiced up. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, you always look boosted, man.
Oh, well, hey, I mean.
I feel like everybody's like walking around talking like frat boys.
I
got boosted. Did you get boosted, bro? You boosted, bro?
Hey, speaking of, you know those guys, the Island Boys? I'm just an Island Boy. You know that guy? No, never mind. I digress.
Yeah.
Anyways, fellow board member and Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association board member, executive board member, Justin Harris, ladies and gentlemen.
But I thought we already did that.
No.
I thought you were talking about the other.
No, we kind of like drifted and there's.
Oh, okay.
Can you say hello? May you say hello, please?
Hello.
Yeah, there it is.
There, okay.
Okay, so let's.
I didn't accept the introduction properly.
Let's just.
And what do we have? What? Who's the other guest? Clint Eastwood's chair. His empty chair.
No, listen, punk.
Who is it?
Oh, we actually do have another guest. Who is that? Oh,
we have a wrist.
That's Mr. Todd Dupont in the house.
President, former longtime host, big friend of the show, always.
Hey.
Todd Dupont.
There he is.
My battery was dying. I had to plug in. Sorry about that.
Hey, so do you still zoom in, bro? Do you even zoom?
Do I zoom into where? Typically, no. I go to court like most people and face getting a horrendous disease every day.
How does that make you feel?
I'm cool.
Face getting a horrendous disease every day. How does that make you feel? Cool.
I've been inoculated. I have the vaccine twice. I need to take the booster, but
So, Todd, what's the so Todd Dupont, ladies and gentlemen, previous Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association president, author of Crimes and Consequences, Dupont, and lawyer extraordinaire. What, Todd Dupont, ladies and gentlemen.
hey,
He wants you to say hello.
I did. Hi.
Oh.
What's the right out the
Ladies
gate?
and gentlemen, J. Julio Vela, board member, longtime board member, host of the show extraordinaire, producer, sometimes director, owner of numerous scarves and children. There he is. Say hello.
Yo.
There you go.
Okay, what is the
We're rusty coming back in after a while.
Okay, let's get out right out the gate. Let's talk about it. What is the one of the most pressing things of local Harris County CJC news out the gate?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I would suspect the most important thing down right now is that none of the lawyers, I'm talking about the prosecutors and the defense bar, have no clue what the judges are doing with regards to where we're going to pick juries after February 1st, which becomes, I mean, we can talk about that. We all know what that kind of means, but also even what that looks like when we find the place that they put us to pick juries. So
let me throw some things on the rumor mill, and we'll just put it on the board to discuss in no particular order. One, I've heard that it's going to be at the Family Law Center for felonies. Two,
hold on. Okay.
Two, I've heard that they're going to be tearing down walls at the Family Law Center, and they're doing that already to make bigger venues for the veneer panel. Three, I've heard when you can't get it there, you'll have to seat juries in two parts, 32 and 32, or 35 and 35. I think I'm on number 4. As of the first week of February officially, so not Monday, but maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, all misdemeanors are going to be sat in the CJC. And 5, from what I hear, is there are no juries next Thursday or Friday. So if you think you're going to a jury trial on Thursday or Friday, you're sorely mistaken. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. So like me, I'm set next Thursday, but I got wind that it's not going to happen. No jurors are around. I give it to the people.
3rd and the 4th?
Yes, next Thursday and Friday. There will be no jurors.
Because they're like transitioning from the NRG arena to the wherever they're going to be.
I've heard that from district court's judge's mouth. Yes.
And see, when I used to be the host, and I'm not going to usurp y'all, but I would ask any judge that's watching this, and y'all probably do, many of you do, there's no reason not to tell the state or us what's the plan. Like, clearly, why would you hide that? You have people that have kids, right? You have people that they might not work that weekend because their wife is pregnant or their dad's dying of cancer, like something, right? Could be easy or hard, right? But clearly the district, all the judges know but all the lawyers do not know what the plan is. I'm told I'm going to NRG Tuesday to pick a jury. I'll be there ready to go.
Tuesday would be February 1st.
Correct. Nobody knows, as far as I know, and we all talk to all of us, what happens after that.
Agreed.
So please, what would be the point of not telling the litigants? What would be the point for any person in court administration? And I'm not being ugly. Any judge that's watching this, and I know there's at least two, why not share what y'all know?
Do you think they know?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. I think they know.
I don't know why they don't know. I don't know how logistically this is supposed to happen, because the people who got a jury summons for like February 1st or February 7th or 8th, didn't they get that like back in December?
Had to.
And they would have told them to show up at like NRG. So if they have to go from like NRG to downtown instead, I don't understand how this is gonna work, the transition. But I mean, I guess they did it before when they shifted from downtown to NRG. I don't know. I guess people have this figured out, but you're right. I mean, there's been almost like a blackout.
Well, I mean, the reality is any lawyer that's watching, state or defense, where are you supposed to go on Feb 2nd? And then, like, who told you where to go? Like, are jurors summoned to the family district court or the old defunct with, all the bad things about that building, including?
Well, and it's my understanding that after this, in this February 3rd or February 4th or February 2nd, that we are abandoning, that the Harris County is saying goodbye to NRG, and the rest of it is downtown. I don't know how, if we break it up into two panels, 35 one day, 35 the other day for felonies, I mean, we're gonna have to not exercise.
I object to that.
We're gonna have to.
I don't know that you can do that.
No, they're going to do that. I'm going to object to that because the whole panel won't be on the same tribe about issues that the first 35 might have issues with, but the second 35 might not.
Well, and how am I going to shuffle?
The courts are going to do that.
What if I want to shuffle?
There's a code section that says you can't question, except for in a capital case, you can't question jurors outside the panels. I know, but my point is, I think there's a statute on point to your objection that says, except in capital cases, each juror shall be questioned as part of the panel. So the entire panel or something like that. But I looked it up. Another attorney, Murray Newman, found it, and I looked it up, and it says that has something in there that's weirdly written about judges' discretion. But I think that your objection is on point.
Well, I mean, astute lawyer objects to that.
Yeah.
It's not even really a hard objection, but the point is, I won't speak long. I'm saying at some point, I mean, that those things, if people are convicted, it's going to go up and up to the Court of Criminal Appeals, and we might be trying cases twice or three times over things that we're trying to just put Band-Aids on right now. But that's my
right.
point.
Let me ask y'all, I mean, predictions as to any of the objections early on to the NRG trials. Do you think that they're coming back?
Well, unless Justin wants to answer, I have my thoughts.
You go first. You go ahead.
I was among the first humans to lodge it. Mine was denied. I did not go to the first trial. You probably were one of the first there. As it turns out, with the with the idea that we're in a pandemic, I actually think it was okay. And I have nothing on appeal for the courts that set it up that way. I actually think we could, and I did win a trial, picking at a felony trial, picking a jury at NRG. It can happen. It's uncommon, but so is a global pandemic. So, and JV, there's no human that can come to the table that's tried more than you. So you would be the best author of win or lose at NRG, but quite frankly, I do believe the courts needed to go on, and I also do believe that it was the best we had, and I don't think at the end of the day it was that bad.
Justin Harris?
I mean, whether any of the cases will be reversed or not is going to depend on, like, I guess 3 things. What if any error was preserved properly at trial? If the right issue gets appealed, and then ultimately if the Court of Appeals judges are in the right mood. So
on the
I don't know. I don't know. I think that they're going to probably bend over backwards because it feels like the like an avalanche could come after that, and every if they make like a blanket ruling that if a jury was picked during that time or under this or this or this circumstance, I could see the Court of Appeals saying, oh no, it was okay. There was either harmless error or just no error at all. Otherwise, it's just going to open a floodgate of, appeals or writs on all those cases.
So the very first COVID trial, the state won, and Mark Hotchclaw got our appeal.
Technically, they lost, right? Wasn't the first COVID trial the continuation of the Arkham trial?
No, you're right.
Arkema.
Yeah.
And then they lost that on a directed verdict from Judge Hill.
They got their ass handed to them.
They won the second trial. We can say that.
And Mark Hotchclaw got that appeal. And I used the motion that TCDLA, HCLA, Todd Dupont, and a few others contributed. I think primarily it was a Dupont motion where we asked, and then we modified it to include cross-section of the community and make written requests for those upon the jury selection. Judge Yates presiding, and Hotchclaw Mark is working on that, y'all. It's pretty awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
He's a good one to be working on that.
Yeah, he's working on it. And so he's taking that up as far as demographics, and because we were challenging the array. Do you remember, Todd?
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Yeah, we filed a motion to challenge the array. The array of the actual panel.
The challenge to the array was my thoughts. The motion,
right?
The overall motion was TDCLA's general, but lawyers from Texas in the middle of a serious pandemic. That I used their motion almost verbatim, but there had been a lot of work and a lot of man and women hours that went into the motion that was presented by many lawyers that were asked early on to be put to trial, and just like unsettled waters, like none of us knew what was going on. We didn't even know if we were going to get COVID. It was just obscure. I mean, later on, a year and a half later, to look back on it, 2 years later,
has it been 2 years?
Well, I mean, think about it. March of 2020.
Jesus.
That's when basically everything shut down
Mm-hmm.
because you couldn't get toilet paper or anything.
Should there be motions for the new process when we move back to the CJC or the FLC?
What's the new process look like? I don't know.
I think the 50,
Maybe.
I think the half and half. I think you got to file an objection.
Oh yeah, absolutely on that.
Wait,
Felony if they split the panel.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
You're saying in terms of 35 and 35?
Right.
There's small counties that do 65 and 65. And my understanding is that that's likely going to be okay from the Court of Criminal Appeals. All right. So in the small counties, they'll bring in, like, they'll call out, then they'll bring other people in from the herd. It just, to me, it never felt right. It doesn't seem right. You should only voir dire on the people that are going to hear the issues. Quite frankly, in my thoughts, it's not cool that when we're voir diring 65 people in one room, but they're 6 feet apart with masks on, and they can't even see or, I'm not saying touch, but talk to each other. I think the pandemic is going to override that, meaning just the wheels of justice have to go further. But, you know, if you start talking about maybe I'm off one day, the next day I'm on. The other thing is, how can 35 know what these other 35 are talking? I suspect we're just going to have to deal with it. I also suspect I'm going to object to this every single time because it's not right.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't like it because of just it's not going to work with my style. And I have several felonies set for trial in the spring, but it's, you know, like, what if the state puts up something in their PowerPoint, which they usually do, it's objectionable, right? And you object in the first panel, in front of the panel, and the judge sustains the objection. And the state takes the slide down, and then they go on to the next one, right? Then the second panel comes in, and the state changes the slide to avoid the objection.
Let's take out
You're going to change the dynamic and the rapport that either attorney or both attorneys, state and defense, has with that second panel, because they're not going to have that interaction from that first objection. So that's
called the tribe, right? Like they're all in this together, right?
Like you said earlier, that's right.
Yeah. So, and clearly, I mean, if something's objectionable, I mean, I might ask a question that strikes 20 people off the bat, right? Just right off the bat.
Right.
And they might, now seeing the question I ask a different question. Right. Like it's not even on the state side, it's something I did. When you have the opportunity to fix either side, now you're kind of Frankensteining juries, panels, right? Venires.
Right. Well, and you know, I'm sure you've done this, but like in closing arguments, you'll kind of loop back to things you talked about in voir dire.
Every time.
Right. And what if a point that you make in voir dire is after you try to make point A, right? And then a juror has a question about point A. And you're like, oh, actually, that's a good observation. Let me tweak that a little bit. Let's talk about that. What do y'all think about this and that? You know, that's from an organic conversation, right? If you don't get the opportunity to organically recreate that with the second half of the same panel, then you either have to fake it to try to make that point in the same way, which is going to look bad, or when you get into your closing, right, you're going to say, as half of you remember from voir dire, when that one juror who got struck said blah, blah, blah.
The reality is that's not cool for either side, honestly.
I agree, because what I'm talking about are things that prosecutors do as well. I agree. There's other problems that I have with it, but those are just some like things where I'm wondering if people have sat down and really thought about this. You know,
I'm going to say this, but thinking out loud. The smaller counties I've worked in earlier, they had pools of 200. They would pick a jury, and then the leftovers would come for the next one. I think what's ideally proposed in Harris County is they're saying, we'll give you 35 here and 35 there. Even just talking about it right now in the last 5-10 minutes, this doesn't seem cool. And quite frankly, I would imagine that it's going to be objected to by probably both sides.
Well, and your comparison to smaller counties, how they do it, if I understand what you're saying and what I've seen before, is like they'll have a big group of people come down for jury service, and then maybe they're going to pick like 2 or 3 juries. They'll use those 200 people, and they'll pick a jury out of those, and then they have like 188 people left, 187, 188. There's an alternate. Then they'll pick, they'll shove those into another room, another set of attorneys and a judge in another court will pick another jury from those leftovers. And maybe they'll stretch another one out of it, right?
That's the difference.
The thing with that
they're all in a herd.
They're all in a herd. They're kind of building a rapport with each other as they go from trial to trial. When you're the second one to get this batch, and you're the third.
Correct.
But the problem I see, a legal distinction for someone like Hotchglove or somebody who's much smarter and does appellate work than me, is when they split the 70 into 35 and 35, the group of 70 already has been identified, right? It's not like they're pulling 35 and then and then go, okay, we got done with those. Now, clerk, push the button and give us another 35. They should be pulling 70 initially, and then someone's making a determination to go 1 through 35 and then 36 through 70. Maybe this is getting overly complicated, but I think that's where, again, much smarter lawyers than me, like Mark Hotchglove, can look at that and go, they took one panel and they broke it into effectively 2 separate panels. That's very different than having one huge panel and selecting 3 juries out of it. So when you keep that whole group, that herd together.
And that's why I say herd or tribe, but yes, when you're all, and see, that's what F's up COVID, because, for many years, they just walk in the courtroom, sit next to each other. Whether we like it or not, the people you sit next to, they kind of form the bond, and they're reading the same book, or maybe they're reading different books, like, oh, I hate you, or I love you. But like,
right.
And clearly JV's like, they walk in, you sit here, put your mask on, you sit there, don't talk, don't say nothing, and then put your headphones on.
Right.
I'm not saying it's wrong. We're dealing with trials in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
At the best that the powers that be can. And quite frankly, I, JV, TCDLA, many humans disagree that we should even have trials at this time. I disagree now with that thought. I think the people in jail should have trials. As safe as we can. But 35, I mean, I think they should reconsider that thought.
Well, supposedly,
I agree.
Supposedly, they're literally breaking down some of the walls in the family law center.
With the asbestos in there?
Yeah, and they're gonna make big
and
galleries.
No fire. They didn't put a fire system in the building, so that's why because they had asbestos in there. They didn't need it.
And you understand how thin the walkways are. There only one person can transverse up or down through the stairwell.
The stairwells, right?
Well, and their escape
Well, this is
plan,
the building that we all went to after Harvey. Yeah, go ahead, JV. You're gonna say what else?
Well, the escape plan is that you have to jump off the second floor into some sort of float that they'll have blown up If you're
Those
on the
big
second,
trampolines from the movies in the 80s.
you
like
have to
the
jump off.
Firefighters would.
Yeah, and you got to do
Right.
the thing, like, and you jump.
Well, I mean, can
No,
I
that's
do
true.
that?
It's a true story. They literally said that the fire escape plan for that building is open one of the windows, go out onto the balcony, and await further instructions, which will, depending on the fire, be jump off of the building.
Wait, who said that? I'm
The county, the
almost
county
50.
facilities, like there's no sprinkler system in the building. There's no fire suppression system.
I get that.
So they had to come up with like a fire escape plan. And since the stairwells, as you pointed out, won't hold more than a single file line of people, where they probably all will die, in the case of a fire in the stairwell, the evacuation plan is, because if you remember, all the floors outside the windows, they have like these great like 60s style architecture of like, it's not a balcony, but it'll serve the purpose of a balcony. So you're supposed to open up, find one of the windows that has a lever, open it up, and then everybody climb out through the window and just stand on the ledge.
I typically don't want to trump you all, but Mark, let's open up for calls. But please, if any judge in Harris County, this show is about Harris County. The people that watch this show might have an open case. Certainly there's prosecutors watching, defense lawyers watching, anybody. Can any judge that's watching, I know there's a couple, can you please give guidance by calling in?
At least, where do we go? Where are we going next week?
Or send one of us a text and tell us if you want it to stay anonymous or not.
And Honorable Senator Washington, I gave you the wrong number, but there's the number now. I think Honorable Craig Washington wants to call in. All right, we got 30 minutes left.
So what I hear is that the county has hired 8 or 9 visiting judges to handle the backlog, as well as hired 3 new associate judges to handle the backlog.
Only 3 associates have been hired. We don't know who they're obliged to.
Well, one of them.
We don't know their job description.
Who are they though? One of them's Inger Chandler. Congratulations, Inger.
Awesome.
Andrew Smith.
Andrew Smith. Great. I think that's a great call.
A young lady, I don't know her name. I know. Well, I've heard her name. I don't know who she is.
It was Honorable Julie, I think, something. No.
My point is, so they're going to hire 3 associate judges who are not judges to cover 23 judges.
That's a lot. That's a lot. It sounds like they're just gonna. I mean, that's incredible to me.
No, but what? Like, who gets the associate judges?
I thought we already had this little game when they tried. Like, wasn't it within the last year? Like these emergency dockets.
Juan Aguirre says that by statute, associate judges cannot do trials.
Right.
You know what?
They're doing like pleas and bail hearings. They're doing like pleas and bail hearings.
No, but what if one court has a lot of?
They'll do trials.
But what if one court has 20 pleas that day? I'm talking about for the 3 people. What if one court has 20 pleas that morning, but the other court has 15? Like, how do you get those 3 people, those 3 judges, who actually aren't judges, but I guess they're associate judges? Like, where do they go? And by order of preference?
I agree.
I don't know.
Sounds like a pretty cush job.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say the next thing a little bit carefully,
it's probably
because
not.
I know there
it's probably
are
going to be miserable. But go for it. I'm sorry.
Well, there are judges watching, but with no trials going on, I don't know why all the judges are in such a hurry to get out of the courthouse by like 11 o'clock or noon. Right? I mean, there's no law or rule or anything that says the court has to stop at a certain time. I've had trials that go till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Why do they have to hire more judges? Why don't they just like make an afternoon plea docket once a week or once every 2 weeks? or I don't know. I guess that I'd like to think that they've explored all these questions and these options that they have, but this just hiring more judges. The legislature already found a need and opened a new district court, and then like 1/22 of all the cases got put into the 482nd, and now we need like 3 more and then 8 more, and it's just like,
well, supposedly,
why don't you just get creative and do other ways instead of having to hire whole new people and put them on salary and whatever.
What I'd like to see is so apparently there's like 9 visiting that are coming. Look, all respect, top of the notch, all of them. However, I'd like to try some cases in front of the judges that were elected. And if they want to send off all of these ancillary matters, things that can be handled by associate judges, things that can be handled by visiting judges, I want to see that happen. However, I think what we see is, and fair, I'm not a judge, I don't know, that the judges want to handle their docket versus trials. And that's not that's a blanket statement, and that's not true. That's just not. What concerns me is we know that there's going to be 3 new associate judges, and then supposedly there's 8 or 9 retired and or not retired, but visiting judges that are coming back, 8 or 9 of them, which they're all top notch. I got no problem with that. However, it does.
What you're saying, JB, is people that have trials and cases that they're pending are not getting trials in front of the court that's elected to the bench.
I know, and that's that these are the correct, and I don't want. This is why these individuals were elected, so we could try cases in front of them, not to try cases in front of the old guard, because that's what's coming through. And I'm not saying anything bad or wrong about them. But I'm saying is it changes when I'm in my venue matters. The human that's presiding over the case matters as to who I'm going to for punishment, as to how I'm going to approach rulings, as to what I believe that will be the best foot forward. And when we get sent off to the emergency relief dockets or and not to say anything wrong with them, I have to change. I have to change how I'm approaching the case.
No, but in reality, and I love every judge that handles that.
Me too.
That wasn't a thing 10 years ago. There was no emergency relief docket 10 years ago. The judges that had the cases dealt with them. They didn't send it over to other folks.
Do you think that's like a product of the backlog, or what? Like, why aren't the judges? And don't get me wrong. I mean, there's people trying cases. Judge Abigail Anastasio, Judge Colin Guido, Judge Martinez, Judge Morton, Judge Warren, Judge Deshaun Jones, Judge. They're all trying. They're all. I want to say all of them are in trial all the time. All of them. I'm not saying some aren't.
There wasn't an emergency relief docket back 10 years ago, but we also didn't have a pandemic. So in one regard, I promise you, in some courts, I'm happy with
Me too.
the emergency relief docket judge.
Yeah.
And very thankful to see them.
Right. Me too.
No, I think many criminal defense are like, oh, wow, we got that person. Thank goodness. But the other side of the coin is, yes, there wasn't that option 10, 15 years, 20 years ago. There wasn't. You drew that case, you got that judge.
Right.
Right.
Good win, lose, or draw. That's if you got X, you get this. And, many, many years ago, there was a judge who I will not name, but if you even had a drug case, a felony level of marijuana, you're going to prison.
Terrible.
2 years. 2 years. I mean, and the state, since they knew that was that person's proclivity, offered you a deuce. So any first offender that caught a weed case had to go to prison for 2 years in this county. Not long ago in terms of a long stretch of time. But that's real talk.
Juan Aguirre says 3 impact dockets funded by state grant. Juan, what does that mean? 3 impact dockets. What about the other? Oh, is that the 3 associate judges? Are they? I don't know. I'm waiting for Juan's response. 3 impact dockets funded by state grants. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what that means, but is that from the 9 that are coming back, or is that the 3 associate judges? But those associate judges can't do trials.
Mark, do we have any calls?
No, sorry, not now.
Nothing.
The number's up. You can also mail the link out if you want.
I did. See if we get some people on the board. Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, 713-807-1794. Justin Harris, Todd Dupont.
You're not getting any chatter on Facebook from any of the judges who are watching?
Juan. So, okay, here's what Juan says. Juan, we didn't have emergency relief dockets, but we had impact dockets. Yeah, we've had impact for a minute. Impact's been around for a minute, but it goes back to, oh, well, I'm going to go to this judge for punishment. And then we get kicked around, and it's like, whoa, not going to do judge punishment now. I mean, it happens. It is what it is. It just is what it is.
Sometimes, though, you walk in there and the judge, I've had a visiting judge. There was one in one of the courts I was in a couple weeks ago, and 2 days in a row, like, she just pushed the state to dismiss my client's cases. It was great. So it cuts both ways.
Speaking of emergency relief dockets, how terrible is it to have one of your cases sent up there and then it's like, oh, you have emergency relief docket at 10:30 or at 9:15. It screws up your entire docket.
Don't be ugly.
It does, though, man.
Hold on.
The whole thing is toast.
I know, but check it out. If you ask that certain person that's scheduling to work around you, that person will.
They do.
However, I'm talking about, we have a lot of cases pending, but you need to ask that particular person to kind of work with you.
They do.
All right, but however, also on a bad day, said person might just schedule something and you're right in the middle of something else. It's not like we have one case. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't be ugly to the people that are working in the emergency docket.
No, I'm not being ugly to the staff.
JB's never going to get a favor from them again. Ever.
I'm not being ugly. All I'm saying is, when I have to go to emergency docket, and it's fine because they're usually big old cases, big heavy cases, 2 years old, ain't gonna be worked out. That's where they go to get worked out. You know who's done who I see consistently out there is Judge Velasquez, kicking butt out there. Judge Mike Wilkinson's back, and he's been killing it up there. Judge Collins, I see Judge Collins at NRG every single time I'm there, so I know she's always over there. Judge Bradley supposedly, I saw her a lot in the beginning. I hadn't seen her much recently. But they all do. Those are all the cases that are going to trial. I mean, they just are, or they get worked out there. And I don't mean to be ugly. I'm just saying, when we get the emergency docket alert,
it messes up everybody's docket. Because I run my docket every Sunday. Anybody that knows me, a few of you do. I'll line it out. I'll figure out which court I want to go to for.
Yeah.
Well, you do your best, right?
Yeah.
You print your docket for the week. But then a court, and I'm talking to judges that send stuff to emergency docket. And I'm not talking to the coordinators that run emergency docket. They just put you in where they think it's best. So first of all, it wasn't on my docket to be sent to emergency docket.
Right.
Right.
And then they just plan it the best they think they can do. But it's not their side. I blame everything on Donald Trump. Did I just say that out loud? I mean to say, when there's a transition, you just kind of have to catch up. That's all.
Oh man. What are What are the 5 best excuses that we have to get out of emergency docket or NRG docket or any other docket? Here you go. Go, Justin. You're up.
I'll be you. Hi, this is JV Vela. I've either been exposed to COVID or I'm in trial right now. Can you roll my case tomorrow?
Oh, I'll tell you.
There's 2 of your 5. There's 2 of your 5.
I'll tell you. So, there's this
I have a tingle. Here's number 3. I have a tingle in the back of my throat. They won't let me in the building.
There's been one time where they put me on standby. So we're at NRG. Sometimes you just get put on standby because you don't have a voir dire room. Put on standby, fine. I'm supposed to go to emergency docket at 9:30, and they tell me like at 9:25 that you're standby, you're released. And I'm like, oh geez, like I have to be in emergency docket, emergency relief docket in 5 minutes. Let me try to. Can I zoom in? I have to leave, whatever. And no later than 5 minutes, so it's 9:35, and I'm supposed to be in emergency docket at 9:30. And I'm getting the coordinators from the emergency relief docket literally texting me like, "We know you didn't see the jury. You need to zoom in now. we know that we know that you have been passed for trial selection at NRG. You need to." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh, I'm drinking a coffee, thinking I have like the rest of the day off." Like. No, they busted me, and so obviously I was like, okay, I'm getting on Zoom now, but that's one, and then the COVID one's always good. Although I haven't used that one, I haven't exhausted the COVID. I don't like to joke around with that, Justin.
I'm not joking.
No. I don't like to do that, Justin. I mean,
Okay, I've never done it.
I'm kidding.
I'm not gonna lie to a court, but yeah, there's quite a few in this day and age.
What about?
There's a lot of other goings on downtown. There's been a lot of like changes in the last few months we haven't been able to talk about.
What else?
Hughes got tapped for immigration court, federal court, so now court 3 is a vacancy.
So
have y'all heard anything about who's going to fill that?
No. Well, so Portia Brown was supposed to fill the vacancy. However, it's my understanding that she didn't. Look, this is all hearsay. So please, if you're watching, correct. But she was given the seat of the judgeship for the interim. Turned out there's some reason that she's not going to fill the seat, and it's been filled by another judge. There was an issue regarding something with Portia Brown. I thought she was a judge and was going to hold that seat until the election, but apparently that's not accurate. Do you know anything about this?
What's happening?
I mean, I mean, I have a bunch of hearsay and rumors that I'm not about to like say, and it's nothing like no misconduct or nothing like that. I just don't know if it's true or not true. I just don't know if anybody's heard anything.
You've got more information.
Saw her in the hallway today. So.
Yeah, I saw her.
I
saw her in the hallway going to the public defender's office. So I think she still works there. And so obviously she works there. She's not the judge. But in that, is it Stacey Biggers running against her, or is she running against Jarrell? I think she's running it against
I
Portugal.
don't have my cheat sheet for the races in front of me.
You got Bill.
But the MAC has started to roll out in some other courts. I've been doing a term on that. I actually kind of like it a lot.
Why? Why?
Well, so for a variety of reasons. I had a problem with a voucher this week on one that I submitted like last week and the pay rate. And I was able to go to the resource attorney and just say, hey, can you look into this? And they're like, yeah, that's not right. And they, put a hold on the voucher so they can clear up the problem and get it fixed for me. And all I had to do was just send one email and they're taking care of it for me. I'm not getting, how like the appointment sometimes seems to come like, you walk by the coordinator's desk, like right at the wrong time. And they're like, oh, JV, I got another one for you. Now they're like going into a true randomized wheel. And instead of getting like 4 or 5 cases, I'm getting like, 1 or 2, which means I got more time to spend on those cases and be spread less thin. So that's been really welcome.
Are you doing a term in a court?
I am right now. Yep. In court 12.
And talk to me about the pay. They didn't give you a full rate? Are you kidding me?
No. It was on like an old voucher from a really old term on a case that was set for trial that got dismissed. No. It was a PTI. And got dismissed recently, so I submitted the voucher. And a visiting judge.
This is on a misdemeanor case.
Right.
So you're talking about a MAC.
The MAC's only working in the misdemeanor courts right now.
Okay.
Yep. And a visiting judge had come in to do some catch-up work or something, and they were approving vouchers or signing vouchers, and the pay rate was like way lower than it's been in years.
I mean, they pay $100 an hour.
Right, and this was not that at all. And that sounds like a lot of money when you're not considering the fact that any support staff is having to get paid on top of that, and you can't bill for their time. So the time that they spend, my time has to cover that, covers all my overhead and everything. I'm not taking home $100 an hour. Don't let anybody think that. But yeah, the rate's supposed to be $100 an hour. But the point of all this was that the resource attorneys, I didn't have to in the past when I've had this issue, I spend like a lot of time emailing different government offices and asking the voucher to be kicked back. I just sent one email to the resource attorney. They responded and said, we got this. We'll take care of it. And it will be fixed the way it's supposed to be. And that's been great. Not getting a flood of cases, getting information in a succinct way, like an email that's got contact information and case information in it. Yeah, it's been working really smoothly for me. So I like it.
Are you getting paid on a term rate, daily rate, without even though you don't get appointments every day?
Right now, yes. As long as I'm present in court and they just don't have anything for me, then yes. Still flat rate. It'll go to an hourly rate at some point, but they're working out the logistics of that from what I understand.
One of the things that I don't necessarily like about it is typically when I used to go into court, I would get my appointments. I could schedule it. So boom, I know by 9:30 I'm going to have anything I'm going to have to do for the day in that court. Occasionally you'll get 1 or 2 on the back end of it. The problem that I have found is I get my text messages or emails just randomly. Like it'll be 11:45 and all of a sudden ding. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, I got to go handle that.
That is an issue because the coordinator is no one in the court has any control over doling them out, right? So they just come in, when they get approved, when the affidavit gets approved for an appointment, it just goes into the computer and the computer randomly sends an email to one of the MAC attorneys who's on the term for that day. So yeah, you can think you're done at 1 o'clock, and then at 1:08 you get an email, the new appointment, and you got to call the client, talk to them, introduce yourself, build some form of rapport, and then go in front of the judge in the next 20-30 minutes or sooner if they're at the end of the docket. But yeah, sometimes I get appointment emails as early as this is a court with a later docket, so an hour before docket around 10 a.m. And sometimes I get them as late as just after 1. So that is a little bit of a frustration, but the only way to control that is get all the affidavits back and then get them all approved all at once and have all this stuff go out at once.
Did you have to do an interview?
Feasible.
Did you have to do an interview?
With who?
The Mac?
No. An interview?
Yeah.
Like with the people in the MAC? No.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be setting up like one-on-one meetings so you can like meet your resource attorney. I don't know that I hope I haven't missed an email about setting up that meeting, but I've attended all the meetings that they've had, all the CLEs they've had. I'm trying to stay pretty up to speed with everything. And, but no, I haven't had like an interview that I can remember. No. But yeah, I like that. We have, what's the other thing that happened down there?
We've had some incredible cases. Crowbars, burning houses, shot deputies, murder, hit and runs. It's just been Houston's now the murder capital of the country, I believe, for the year.
Right. Not a good thing to be.
No. Especially with all these judges letting everybody out on bond. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Stop.
I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, we had SB 6 take effect.
What's
right?
that?
Where they can't grant PR bonds to people with domestic violence cases, which has really made things a little difficult.
When did that happen? Are you serious?
It passed, Joe.
Yeah, and they I had a client who had a domestic violence case that was like 2 years old, and the complainant was deceased. And the judge was like, I can't hold this person in jail when the complainant's dead. And the client didn't have any money. And the judge was like, well, I got to grant a PR bond because this is ridiculous. Domestic violence cases, when it's, brother and sister or whatever, and now they can't get a PR bond. But anyway, take it away, JV.
HUCLA's Reasonable Doubt here with Todd Dupont, Justin Harris, and for everybody in Harris County community, along with the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association, wishes you a very new year and ready to kick some butt. J. Julio Vela, I'll see you next week.